Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Small Town Big Business, a podcast about doing big business in small towns. I'm your co-host for today, Deb Barnett. I'm also with Southern Illinois Now, and we are recording here at beautiful Ethos at the Citadel. Small business incubator, co-working spaces, training and development, just a great space right here on the square in downtown Marion. I do want to thank our sponsors, Arcadia Wealth Group, Banterra Bank, Black Diamond Harley-Davidson and RV, Fowler Heating and Cooling, Southern Illinois Now, Swinford Media Group, Union Street Arts, and Watermark Auto Group Foundation. I am so excited about today's interview. We have a local right here in Marion, a local business, and we have Heaven Lunsford, which, Heaven, I love the name. I'm sure I'm not the first one who said that.
Thank you.
So Heaven Lunsford, Southern Beauty Esthetics. Mm-hmm. So welcome to Small Town Big Business, and let's just jump right in to tell a little bit about you and the business, and if you've always been here in Marion, Illinois.
Okay, so I am originally from Quincy, Illinois, which is about 4.5 hours up north, but I moved to Dix, Illinois, outside of Mount Vernon when I was a little girl. So I've always been in Southern Illinois pretty much.
So Dix, Illinois, just up the road from Marion. About an hour?
Yep. So I started my business in 2021, or 2022, sorry, the summer of 2022.
Well, you started really planning, I'm sure, in 2021.
Yes.
Getting everything together.
It took a lot of planning. It took a lot of building, a lot of remodel. Mm-hmm. But I started that in 2022 and kind of migrated this way. Ever since then, we moved here in February of this year, actually. But from the time that I opened the business, we were looking for homes over here to try to get over here, but the market was just so crazy. Mm-hmm. And when we did, we were like, yes.
Yes. So you're newly living in Marion,
yes,
but your business has been here for a couple of years now.
Yep.
How did you find Marion?
So living in Dix, I originally worked out of the St. Louis Shiloh area, and so did my husband. And his job kind of transferred to this area locally. And so we were kind of living in between here and there. And so we were going back and forth on where we needed to be and what we needed to do. And so I started looking locally all over Mount Vernon area and everything for a job for aesthetics. And there's not really anything to choose from. So I started to just think about it. I knew I always wanted to own a business, and I just never was sure about that. And he was like, this is the perfect time to start one. Let's find a place. Where do we need to do this? And
that was your husband?
Yes.
So you had really good support from the beginning.
I did.
Which
yes.
is so important.
Yep. So we just pretty much looked locally to different areas and where we thought a good place for that to be would be. So what we started doing is we started going to just some of the towns locally and just visiting businesses. We came here to Marion before my business was ever here. We went and took the kids ice skating and seeing Christmas lights, mm-hmm, and did all that fun stuff and just kind of snuck through some of the businesses and got a feel for the community. And at that point, we were kind of we really just felt connected to the community here. And we were like, this is just the perfect place. This would be a good spot to raise our family, mm-hmm, and to just have a business. So that's kind of what drew me here locally.
I love how you were so intentional about that. Like, it just wasn't by mistake that you ended up here and your business ended up here in Marion. Mm-hmm. You really were very intentional about searching for that place that felt right for your family, that you knew your business would grow and thrive. So once you made that decision that your business would be here in Marion, and that was 2021 to 2022?
Yeah.
Was it just all, easy path ahead? Everything just fell into place perfectly? Talk about that and how the business got started.
So when we did our little scoping through the town, mm-hmm, I drove around for quite a few weeks and just looked at different places that I seen for lease or for rent, and nothing really clicked. And it was one of those situations where I was like, okay, I'm never going to find this place. I'm never going to get it going. We ended up finding something here off of Court Street. And when we went in, we had to redo everything from bottom up, from flooring to lighting, everything.
Wow.
And that was a work in itself. It took us a couple months to get through everything and to get the process going. But it definitely, looking back at it, I'm glad we did. So.
Yeah. And it really made it your own and kind of saw that vision come to life. So you said you'd always wanted to own a business, mm-hmm, and you obviously found a gap and a need, mm-hmm, in the area. So talk about how, when you're starting a business from scratch, you also then have to build your clientele. You have to get your word out. You have to help people know where you're at, who you are, those types of things. Can you kind of take us through that and how you built that up? Maybe some tips that other folks who, whether they're thinking about starting a business, newly, into their business, or maybe they're many years down the road. What are some things that might be helpful to them?
Yeah. So when I started here, everything was new. I had no ties to community. I knew absolutely nobody here at all. So it was really hard starting off. There was a lot of days of sitting and waiting and trying to push like Facebook advertising, which
wondering if anyone's out there on the other side, right?
Which marketing is a whole nother level in itself. It's like a whole nother business. So, but I happened to actually have somebody here locally that came into my business, and she's actually became a good friend of me now. She came in, got a facial from me, and she invited me here to Ethos to take a class. She's like, you should go meet all these people, get your name out. And I was like, okay. But she kept on me. I didn't do it at first, but she kept on me, and I ended up coming to one. It was Alicia Carruthers. I came here, and it's a funny thing. First time I came, she wasn't here, and I was like, oh man, I'm so nervous. But you
were welcomed.
It really did. They welcomed me quite a bit, and it was really easy. I've met a lot of people since then. She brought me into Marion Connects. I'm on the board for Marion Connects now locally. That has really helped. The community has been great with supporting me and helping just to get my name out, word of mouth and advertising and just sharing my business on their Facebook page. So, I mean, my biggest advice would be to get out and get involved in the community and do things locally to help people and just get to know the people is the best thing.
I think that's so important because we all need support, right? And like you said, I mean, you had your husband's support. Yeah. You had the dream, but you came here not knowing anyone. I mean, that's tough. Yeah. And not every community has a Marion Connects. No. But can you talk a little bit more about that, just for the listeners to better understand, like, what is Marion Connects and what does it, or what have you seen that it truly does for a community? Whether another community takes on that idea or just does a version of it or just really intentionally reaches out to make their community better.
So being involved in it has really shown me a lot just within this community itself. It's really brought in people out of their homes, especially after COVID. Everybody was all stuck inside and they just felt like they couldn't get out. They couldn't communicate. They couldn't just get involved. It's really taught people that they can get back out again. They can socialize. They can bring their families out to the square like here in Marion and just enjoy those moments together. Then it's a nonprofit that just helps people get together. Right. It works really well, and I've seen a lot of benefits from it here personally.
So they have events, but there's also a Facebook page. I've seen people, just ask random questions, and there's always someone there. So it's kind of a built-in community. Yeah, right.
It is. It really is. A lot of people. I mean, I've seen a lot of businesses here locally from just that Facebook page that I didn't even know existed. I went to one yesterday, a little boutique down on 37. I didn't know was there until the other day because I seen her post something. But that was really, she's been there just as long as my business has. And I was like, oh, wow, this is really cool. So.
And isn't that cool that it's full circle for you then, right? Yeah. Like you started and getting connected, but then people helping to promote your business. And now you're doing the same. Like you're going down and saying, oh, I didn't know. I mean, that's really what it's all about, right?
Yeah, it is.
So tell us how you structured your business. Is it just you? Do you have other people working for you? How did you put that together?
So it is just me. I am the only esthetician in there, but I do have two other girls that they rent rooms from me. One does lash extensions. One does like bridal makeup, photo makeup, just any type of professional makeup. So there's no really employee ties there. Eventually I do want to bring in another esthetician to work for me. But right now I'm kind of with myself.
Sure. But even though they aren't employee ties, it sounds like by them leasing or renting the rooms from you, that's a great business model too for other people to consider. Because do you own your space? Do you lease your space? What does that look like?
I lease it right now.
Okay.
We've been looking actually lately to try to either build or buy something and expand.
So whether you own, build, lease, I still think that business model of leasing out to other people or helping people kind of talk about that, because I've seen other models in, like, for example, a few months back, we had some folks from Annabelle Market down in Anna, Illinois, on the podcast. And their store is really made up of all of these different booths and different business people that wouldn't otherwise maybe have their own brick and mortar, but they can lease space within the larger space. And then that also helps Annabelle Market and their owners to pay for that space. So it's just a great business model. And did you see that, or did you envision that as part of your business model when you started?
When I first started, I didn't really. I just kind of focused on building myself and my business personally, not with anybody else. I always knew eventually I wanted to bring somebody in, but I didn't know what that looked like.
Right.
That has all really changed this past year. I kind of sat down and I was talking to my husband about it, and I was like, I would really love to build something to open up spaces for other people that do like what I do or other things similar, and just allow them to come in. It's just easy when you have that space for people. It's you promote each other's business, you help each other grow locally, and it helps the community as a whole. I told them I would love to build a space to where people can kind of just come in and there's this, and here, it's just all open for people to have. So
I love that. I love that vision and that idea. And it sounds like over the past couple of years, you've really built the business up where you can start thinking about what that next phase is going to look like.
Yeah.
So you mentioned this, and this. Tell me the services that you currently offer, and then maybe what you envision for the future.
So I offer everything from lash lifts, lash tints, to brow lamination, and women's waxing. But my biggest specialties would be I do a lot of dermaplaning and a lot of acne treatments. I specialize in those two treatments particularly. So,
and how do you get the word out about that? I mean, how we talked a little bit about that, but for particular clients that may need those services, how do people find you then?
So Facebook has been huge for my business. I feel like that has really helped take it off. That's how most people found me starting off. Google has been another one, but word of mouth is huge. That has been a big success for me, especially with a lot of like my acne clients in general. When you treat them and they see the results from it, everybody else sees those results. They're visible. They're right there, So it's just like, where'd you go? Where'd you have that done? So that's been huge for my business.
And it sounds like that's really fulfilling for you. It's not just providing a service, but you're really making a difference for people. And I kind of saw you light up when I said that. Like, it's more than just a business for you.
Yeah. I enjoy, I think, honestly, acne clients are some of my favorite clients just because it's a struggle. It is. It's a struggle that people deal with every day, and it affects them mentally and emotionally. And when you see them get through that and succeed, you see the happiness that they have. So it's just like, that's so fulfilling,
Sure. So let's talk about, and you just touched on this a little bit, but your biggest joys in being a business owner, because it's not easy, but then also your biggest challenges that you faced so far, if you're willing to talk about that.
I say my biggest challenges from the go up was probably marketing. I don't think I started, like I said, I came here not knowing anybody, and I didn't start marketing at first. And those were kind of things where I'm like, looking back, I'm like, I wish I would have told myself you need to plan this out a little bit better. So, but again, it was just an ordeal where we just started and took off. It wasn't like we planned everything out so early and soon and all of this, but marketing was a huge one. I wish I could go back and kind of redo what I did there. So,
but you also don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
I would say that you probably thought you were checking all the boxes and planning for everything you needed, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh now we need to market. And I don't know this for sure, but I would imagine like most of us don't have a background in marketing or a marketing degree. Yeah. And when you're starting a new business, you don't always have the funds to hire someone to do that, right?
Yeah.
So, I think a lot of folks do miss that piece or struggle with, they think they'll just open the doors and the people will come.
Yeah.
Right.
I say it was definitely a surprise starting off. It was kind of one of those things where I also had I didn't know so many different things existed for advertising until I became a business owner. I felt like people were knocking on my door every day, and you're in different directions. You're like, what do I do? Is this going to work? Is that going to work? There's just no real understanding. I feel like it took a lot of trial and error that first year, quite a bit, to figure out okay, this is not for me. I mean, maybe it's for them, but it's not for me. So I've had to kind of push certain things aside and just really buckle down on what I realized actually works for my business personally. So
that's really good. And it sounds like, you did have some resources. You mentioned the training or some sort of workshop that Alicia invited you to here at Ethos. And there are those resources around for people. But did you really dive into some of those trainings, or whether it was marketing or otherwise, or even starting the business? There's a lot of resources around. Like we always talk about the small business development centers, and those services are at no cost. But a lot of people either don't know about them or don't take advantage of them. So did you take advantage of some resources like that, or did you just figure it out?
I definitely took advantage of some resources. I can definitely say I need more. I don't think you can get enough education when it comes to certain things like that. I took like certain classes here, and I've taken some online classes. Even just as an esthetician in general, that's one of the reasons why I love it, is because you got to continue to teach yourself. You got to continue to learn. And I feel like it's the same way just owning a business. Like there's just so much that you can learn. Things change constantly in the world and the environment. As every year that goes by, things are different, So, I mean, it's never a bad thing to take classes and to continue to learn like that.
So even though owning a business has always been a dream of yours, what has surprised you the most?
I don't know. I guess coming into it, you have this idea of you're going to own your own business, and it's going to be all butterflies and roses and all these cool things that you think it would be, but it's a lot of work. It would be really hard for me to ever not own a business after owning a business. I love it. It is a lot of work. There is a lot of behind the scenes that people does not see, but I don't regret it. I love it. So,
can you take us a little bit into that, the behind the scenes? Just, you love what you do, but there's a lot of, like you said, it's not just rainbows and butterflies and all the things. Can you take us behind the scenes a little bit?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not just the face that my clients see every day when it comes to just like facials and treatments and all of that stuff. I mean, I have to keep inventory in order and just the bills and just remembering to do this and that, and keeping up with like licensing and continuing education and insurance. There's a lot that comes to it. There's different things here and there that you got to kind of keep track of. You learn to become your own accountant at one point. There's just a lot of things like that you don't think about, I guess, off the top, that kind of just comes in as you learn really quick as you go. So
yeah, there's so much to it, so many different pieces.
Yeah.
And like you said, we're not experts in all of those areas, and most of us don't have background training, education in all those areas. So we just have to learn or have to bring folks alongside us who can help us with that. So you mentioned all of the things that you had to learn, and I'm sure that takes a lot of organizational skills, all of that, just to keep it all together, in addition to family and other things, which we haven't even touched on. But do you have any like life hacks, business hacks, anything like that kind of helps keep you organized, or any tips that you might want to share with listeners?
I finally broke down, and I did really good at first working with my social media, and I finally broke down and I hired a girl to take care of that. And I feel like that took a huge burden off of me, especially in the beauty industry. A lot of people want to see that social media activeness, and it's a full-time job when you're a business owner outside of
to do
having
it
a family.
well, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing that I did that kind of took some of the pressure off, was doing that and getting an accountant. I was like, I can't do all of this for myself. I tried at first and I did good for a while there, but the busier you get, the more your business grows, the harder that becomes.
Yeah.
So I realized I was like, it's time to push that stuff aside. So it definitely made a difference.
Yeah. And I think it's good, though, especially when people start their business, to understand how to do those things. But at some point, you're right, you do have to figure out the things that you're really good at, and how you can work on your business, not in your business, right? And really those things that are going to make your business move forward, and those things that you can outsource, even if it's a cost.
Yeah.
I think people see those things like hiring someone to help with marketing or hiring an accountant as a cost, but really it's costing your business not to.
The thing is I I didn't want to be one of these estheticians that got so caught up in all of the overhead, I wasn't giving my clients the attention that they needed. And I just felt like when you're sitting there and you're like, I have to do this and I have to do that, like that person that's in front of you is not on your mind when they're there. So I had to pretty much eliminate some of those things to be like, focus on what I'm actually here for, you know, my actual degree. So
yeah. And again, what's going to really make your business grow and thrive. And that's so smart. I mean, especially so early on, you're just a couple of years in. For you to have learned that and recognized it is something I think a lot of folks, it takes them a really long time to recognize. So you have a lot to balance and you have outsourced some things as we just talked about, but you also have family. You want to talk about your family a little bit and how you balance all of those types of things?
So I am married. My husband, Clay, he is a local elevator mechanic. So he works for Otis Elevator. Me and him have a little boy together who is 4. I also have 2 daughters from a previous relationship. They are 15 and 10. So I have a pretty
15, 10, and 4.
Yeah, pretty
so
big
your life
age
is
gap.
busy.
Yes. So they keep me busy. The older one plays a couple sports here and there. The middle one's starting to get into it. So I would say being a business owner with them has actually been more of a blessing than a downfall, because on those times where it's like, hey, I have this or I have that, I'm like, okay, I can cut this out of my schedule and just make sure that I'm there to show them what they need to see. So it's been a good balance. It's also been really nice because my 2 daughters, they kind of look and see what I do and they enjoy it. And it's given them, like my 10-year-old's like, I'm going to work with you, Mom. I'm like, okay.
So you're really setting the example. They're watching. They're watching more closely than we ever know, certainly.
Yeah. It's funny because my 10-year-old, her teacher messaged me and she's like, your daughter's selling you here at the school. I'm like, get it, girl.
All the teachers need to come in. Yeah,
she told me I need to give her commissions.
Oh, that is so great. Yeah, they do learn so much, you know, just by watching. And I appreciated what you said, too, about really picking and choosing the things that you can do and the things that you can't.
Yeah.
And I've always said, you know, when you say yes to something, you're also saying no to something, right? And for me, unfortunately, over the years, that yes to those things that I was, you know, just excited about or whatever was also saying no to my family. And I didn't realize it at the time, but that's exactly because we only have so many hours in the day. And society wants to tell us that, you know, it's just limitless, but we have a finite amount of time in every day and our own physical and mental, you know, energy and strength. So I really appreciate that you kind of intentionally look at those things and how you could, I wouldn't even say balance, but prioritize your family and business and when those things need to take place. Yeah,
I think that's one of the reasons why this past year I kind of realized I needed to delegate more things and just break down like the social media girl. That first year I was just like on Canva and trying to make all these posts and all these things and make sure I had everything lined up. And I noticed like most of that time was when I was at home. And I'm like, my kids are sitting here seeing me every day just on my phone nonstop. I'm like, they don't realize mommy's working. They just see her sitting here on her phone all day, every day. I'm like, this is just not healthy for me or them, either way in our family. So that's one of the reasons why I was like, I got to delegate this. I got to get rid of it. That way when I'm home, it's just not like, where's mom? You know, like just sitting there trying to work and work and work. So, and that's another thing that goes back to like, people don't see behind the scenes of how much you're doing to keep your small business going. It's just, it never ends at home. So
I think somebody that's listening needs to hear that. I know I need to hear that repeatedly, you know, because as we mentioned, there is a cost. Like there is a cost to hiring people or partnering with people or delegating those things out. But there's a real cost to, as you just mentioned, to being home. And every single night you think you're home with family, but you're really distracted by all the other things you have to do. That there's a cost to that. Yeah.
And I mean, it doesn't even just help me out personally in my business, but it also helps, you know, her out with what she's doing and she's trying to build herself for her small business, you know, so it's just helping one another. So it works all the way around.
I think that's been a common theme in today's conversation, just community, collaboration. I mean, that's how all this got started, right?
Yeah.
So is there anything that we missed, Heaven? Is there anything that we missed that we haven't talked about that you're just dying to talk about today? And if not, I have one final question that I always ask. but I want to give you the space to share anything else you'd like to.
Not too much. Just I'm excited to see what's to come in the next year. I have big plans, big goals. So it's a matter
Anything
of
you want to
time.
share?
I'm hoping to expand quite a bit. I'm wanting to relocate and either buy and redo or build a place and kind of just bring in other professionals and have a bigger location with some more services for people to come and get. So
Love it. Well, you have made a lot of progress in just 2 years.
Yeah.
For sure. And you've learned a lot. I mean, I feel like you're talking like a very, very seasoned business owner that you've learned a lot of things in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
So my final question is, what is your why? And this could be anything. It could be business. It could be family. Like, what is your why? Kind of what gets you going out of bed, motivated every day?
Part of it is my family. I want my kids to see that hard work gets you somewhere. It pays off. But I also want them to see that family is motivation for everything. I want them to be able to look back and just say, like, Mom was home and she cared and she did all these things with us, but yet she had this business that she worked hard to build. You know, I want them to see that balance between things and kind of do what they love to do and kind of have that balance themselves. But outside of family, I love to help people. I love what I do. So it's just anytime that I can help somebody meet a goal or get to this point and see them smile, it makes me happy. So, I mean, that's why I feel like we're here, is to help people. So,
and what is the saying? If you find a way to make a living doing what you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
Something along those lines, right? And it sounds like you found that.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I had somebody say that the other day. She's like, I don't think I know anybody that can really say that they love to do what they do. And I'm like, you just met one, because I love what I do. I really do. I don't ever question my job personally.
Yeah.
I love it. So.
You can tell. Definitely can tell. Well, Heaven Lunsford, Southern Beauty Esthetics, right here in Marion, Illinois. Thank you so much for joining us today. Where can people find you at?
I am located on North Court Street, so 1113 North Court, Suite E. It is directly across in that same alley as Extreme Kids. That's kind of where I tell everybody, because they're all familiar with that, so I'm right there across from it.
And you've mentioned social media, website, any of those things that you want to direct people to?
Yes, my social media is, I have a Facebook and Instagram, both Southern Beauty Aesthetics. On there, you can there's a link to my website that brings you right to it, shows you all my services. Anybody has any questions, just reach out.
All right. Well, thank you again, Heaven, for joining us. And thank you for joining us for Small Town Big Business. I do want to thank our sponsors, Arcadia Wealth Group, Banterra Bank, Black Diamond Harley Davidson and RV, Fowler Heating and Cooling, Southern Illinois Now, Swinford Media Group, Union Street Arts, and Watermark Auto Group Foundation. That was a mouthful, but it takes all of these great sponsors to make all this happen, and we certainly appreciate them. So again, you can find Small Town Big Business on your favorite podcast platform, also on our YouTube channel. We have more than 100 episodes now, and we're just so excited to see this next year come and all of these new episodes that will be coming out, so we can share these stories of our small businesses. So again, I'm Deb Barnett with Southern Illinois Now. You can find us at southernillinoisnow.org and also on social media. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.